dead trees because the winters aren't as cold and the bugs can stay up year round, and they're killing millions of trees. We also have the fact that because we haven't allowed fire in the forests, that what used to be 10 huge trees per acre, we now have 100, most of which are very tiny. When a fire comes through, they just burn everything. And so we've got to manage our forests, have more controlled burns, also just go in and clear things out so we have the type of forest that doesn't lead to these huge fires that we're getting now, where everything just goes up, where you've got the old trees that, yeah, you'll burn some of the lower branches, but you won't get the conflagrations. The other thing is, it's also now much harder to fight the fires, and that has to do with climate change. And with climate change, the nights heat up more than the days because the greenhouse gases are like a blanket. So they're much more effective warming up in the evening than the day. And frankly, even most of our Republicans in California now accept that climate change is here and we have to do something. But at any rate, because of that, you don't get the dew in the evening. Talk to the firefighters. They'll tell you it used to be in the evenings, fire would go to bed and that's when they could really fight it, stop it. It doesn't happen anymore, which is one of the reasons why the fires have gone into these populated areas. I could talk a lot more about that, but at any rate, what we've tried to do, so we're trying to manage the forest. We're looking at how to change our building code so that people don't have flammable substances. But even a wooden deck is an invitation to a fire. So there's a lot that we have to change. Beyond that, when PG&E went bankrupt earlier this year, one thing it did is it prevented any settlements for the fires that they caused. And the people who have claims against PG&E go to the back of the line. They are creditors, but they don't have any standing with court with the other just kind of out there. So in order to prevent that from happening with the other utilities, Edison has its credit downgraded because they see the state isn't going to prevent these bankruptcies. And if you own stock or you own bonds, you're not going to invest in a utility unless you think that you can get your money back, which means they're having to pay more and more for their bonds. They are just one change in credit away from junk bond status, at which point they would probably go bankrupt. This is also a big problem because if there's a 2019 fires, all the people from 2017 and 2018 that got caught in these fires, they go behind the 2019 people. The 2019 people have a claim ahead of them. So the last thing we want to do is let Edison go bankrupt or Southern California, or San Diego Gas and Electric. So we have passed something which sets up an insurance fund. Utilities are going to donate $10.5 billion to it. In addition, the ratepayers, you may not be aware of this, but there's a surcharge on your current electric bill that goes back to 2000, 2001. That was supposed to end in 2020. It's going to continue instead through 2030, and that's going to be used to buy bonds to put into this insurance fund. So the insurance fund then can take care of the victims. But that insurance fund wouldn't last very long unless we were also doing these other things, such as PG&E turning off the electricity when you get a hot day, low humidity, strong winds. We had a day like that earlier. They shut off the electricity for large area. And by the way, the people who would ordinarily get that electricity are going nuts. As you might guess, all their food spoils. They can't watch TV. They can't stay up at night. So it's hard on them. Then when the wind dies down, PG&E has to go back look at all of their lines and make sure that they all survive the winds. So it's days and days that people are without electricity. But the alternative, we don't want another fire where 85 people die. Other things I've mentioned, managing the forests, and looking at ways to improve the safety of the lines themselves. And there's an agreement that large amounts of money are going to be spent on that, much of it coming from the shareholders. But we're going to have to make those lines safer. We're going to have to manage our forests. We're going to have a way to treat victims of fires, etc. So these are all the things that are going on now to try and stabilize the situation. It's a lot of work.
Is there
We've been working on it for several years.
Because there's like a 1.5 million dead trees right now in the mountains.
Yep.
And you know, those have to be taken out. Really.
Right.
Yeah,
so of all the things that have come up while I've been there, this is the one that's truly an emergency. And that frankly, we thought we had it solved last time, and we didn't, because somebody insisted on a may instead of a shall, and then the Public Utilities Commission decided not to keep PG&E out of bankruptcy, let them go bankrupt, and that just causes one problem after another. So anyway, we hope we've solved that problem, but it's a whole new ball game, and of all the things that have happened since I've been here, this is my 7th year. This is the one that's truly an emergency, truly difficult politically, because everyone's going to say we bailed out the utilities. What we're trying to do is save the victims, and that means keeping the utilities there, and so that they are in a position where they can in fact help the victims, and trying to prevent them from being victims ever again. If not $1 gets used from that insurance fund we set up, we can all be very happy, and that's going to be our goal over the next couple of years. Thank you. This is a great distance. Nobody would want it.
Okay, the floor or the field is all mine. So, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sarah Lamnon, one of your Hayward City Council members. Or not yours, but, you know, a Hayward City Council member. This year, we've been working on certainly sustainability issues, as Bill was mentioning. We've got some housing that is all electric, which may be problematic in the shut-off time, but does make sure that we're not expanding the use of natural gas in the city. Our new library, I promise it will open. We can talk about that if you need to, but I would just say for the moment it will open, but it also is a zero net energy building with lots of sustainability features. Just very recently, on the quick things, our budget outlook is so much better than it used to be, which means that we're protecting our pensions and our retirement systems for our employees. Labor relations are really healthy in the community, or in the city, so things are going really well. And one of the things we just did recently was to pass a sweeping rent stabilization ordinance in the city that has protections. You know, there's only certain levels we can do for some housing, but there are protections in there for everybody in the city. So we're very excited about that. That was a lot of work, a lot of community input. It took a while because we wanted to do it right. We wanted to do something that was a balanced approach that really took into consideration all of the things that needed to be considered. We've also, over the last couple of years, approved 4,000 housing units, 400 of which are affordable by design or by right or by subsidy. And we've pushed for every development that comes along is not only green, but is also includes affordable on-site, because it's a faster, more socially responsible way to build that housing. So there's been a lot of progress in the city. I'm happy to answer questions or tell you more if you want to know.
Sarah?
Yes.
Could you tell us about there was some problems with some of the housing stuff, developments that started that are now stopped? Is there?
Are you thinking of particular developments?
Yeah, I was thinking about the one on B Street.
Yeah.
B and B, those two parcels, either side of B Street, and also I also heard that was a problem for the old Mervyn site.
So the Mervyn site got stalled for a couple different reasons, but actually our labor partners have been really helpful in that. There's a project labor agreement on that. project, and they just pulled building permits a week or so ago. So that one's underway. That'll be moving.
That's a big.
It's huge. It's 400, more than 400 units, or 50, something like that. New apartment units, which will help our rental housing supply problem, and retail, and some creek improvements, and so on. So it's got a lot of community benefit there. So that one's moving. That one's the Mervyn site.
Oh, the Mervyn site.
Yeah, there's a smaller one on B Street that's about 40 units.
Right.
I think,
Right, the 40 unit on B and 4th on both sides of the street. Yeah, that one seems to have stalled, and I don't know what's going on. I was just asking them to clean up the weeds, and my next step is to find out why that stalled out. They sold that project, the developer sold it, and so I don't know if they're just sitting on it or whatever. We're gonna have to find out.
They prepped it and everything.
I know.
They had it all. They treated the soil and everything.
Yeah.
I saw them doing that.
I just wanted to say that Hayward is just being a very responsible city. And what they're doing for housing, what they're doing for homeless. I'm just very proud to be an alumnus of the Hayward City Council. And I'm going to see you Tuesday night.
Oh, yes.
We're going to honor the passing of our former mayor, Roberta Cooper. And her family's, her son Jay will be there with his family. And we're going to give him a commemorative resolution.
Yes.
So proud that of the great work she did, and she was one of the people who really turned the city around, building the new city hall, reviving downtown, tremendous amount of work.
Yeah, so thank you for coming to do that, and all of the foundation you laid for our new library, and all of our sustainability, and all the work you did on council. Thank you, Bill, and continue to do it in the legislature. The last thing I wanted to note is that we had a grassroots task force to address homelessness and hunger in and around Hayward, which includes our unincorporated areas. And so that group has done a lot of work in the past. We've recently restarted it, so if you're interested, give me a holler. Happy to bring you into the group. The idea is there are lots of conversations around issues of hunger and homelessness, and we want to bring it into one room so we can really work together well, collaboratively, to address these issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Sarah does a wonderful job with homelessness and the hunger and the people that are in need. And it's nice to have somebody on the council that cares that much about people that are less fortunate than ourselves. And I think that we're to be tremendous for that. And I think some of the things that Bill here has also said, which this man has done a wonderful job
Absolutely.
in Sacramento. Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Okay, Robin, lady first.
Appreciate it.
Please.
Hi, Robin.
Go on, Robin.
Lady. Hi, everybody. My name's Robin Torello. If you don't know me, I'm with the Alameda County Democratic Party. Just wanted to bring you up to date on a few things that are going on. We normally meet the first Wednesday of every month in the San Leandro Library. Because they no longer have security in the building, we've lost our ability to have our meetings there for a while until they hire more staff people. So we're homeless right now, Sarah.
Okay.
So anyway, we're looking for a place, and we'll get back to you shortly. But huh?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we'll be in the park. We'll get arrested after dark, whatever. Anyway, actually I'm looking at the Teamsters, just at least for August. Anyway, so the other things that are going on, we're planning our a treasurer training in September, a place to TBD because we have to get the FPPC person first before we can find the place. So anyway. So that's coming up. That'll probably be September 14th if that fits his schedule, his or her schedule. And then we're going to be doing an organizing training for people who want to work on campaigns, help with candidates, campaigns, and or work for the United Democratic Campaign headquarters. We're going to be doing an organizing training in October.
I'm an alumnus.
That's exactly right. Then we're doing a all-day candidate training for people that are going to be running in March 2020 or November, and that will be in November, November of 2020, and that will be this November. TBD on the locations yet, because we've got to find places for our meetings first before we find it for the trainings. So, and then the last thing is our annual Unity Dinner, which is at the Oakland Airport Hilton. It'll be our 49th year to have this event, and it will be September 28th, 6 o'clock cocktails and 7:30 dinner. So we'll have more out on that as well. We'll send it to the clubs as well as the MailChimp. So, okay?
I'd like to say something about Robin. So before Robin took over as county chair, that Unity Dinner, the only people who would come would be elected officials. And it's now a much bigger event, a much better event.
Sell out every year.
Exactly. Get your tickets quickly.
Oh.
But we really have a tremendous organization in the county, thanks to
Thank
Robin.
you. I forgot to mention one other thing. That's all the events. We just hired a party services coordinator that is an employee of ours. So her name is Irene Nika, and she started about a week ago. So you'll meet her at the meeting on August 7th, wherever that will be. And of course, she'll be reaching out to all the clubs. So very excited.
Thank you, Robin.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Before I get to the next speaker, I was remiss when I introduced the people. Somebody that's very important to this all over minutes. Claudia McDonaugh. Claudia, you want to come up here for a moment? You want to say anything?
Sure, I would. Let me just
Please,
are you going to talk about that? Are you going to?
No, you go.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
Oh, great.
Because Claudia takes all my minutes and does everything, and if I don't treat her right, let me tell you, the minutes are going to be everywhere. You have the floor, Claudia.
Okay, yeah, I was just going to mention that quite a few of our members of the Castro Valley Democratic Club are also members of the Castro Valley Chapter Citizens Climate Lobby. And I brought postcards if any of you would be willing to sign a postcard to Eric Swalwell, encouraging him to be a co-sponsor or at least an endorser of our wonderful bill that's in the House of Representatives. It would put a price on carbon pollution and would charge the fossil fuel companies a fee and would quickly speed the transition to renewable energy. It's got about close to 30 co-sponsors so far, but we really like Swalwell to be part of it, and I have postcards if you would be willing to let him know that you would support a fee on carbon-based fuels in order to have them start to pay some of the cost for some of the damage that they're doing, and that way correct that market failure that they're polluting for free and changing the climate for free, and we could easily...
Could you bring up the postcards now and give them out?
Yes.
Yeah,
Why
that's a
don't
good
you do
idea.
that?
Yes.
Yeah. It's HR 784, isn't it?
763.
763, yeah. So it's in Congress, yeah, and it's
in the House so
it's
far.
in the House, and they're just trying to get more co-sponsors because the more people sign on to it. I'm not sure. We've been bugging Swalwell for a while. Is anyone here from Swalwell's office? Let's call him out.
He's been busy. Now he's not as busy.
Not that I know of. But that's a good question.
And it's not just a Democratic issue.
No, it's
Republicans and
exactly.
Democrats
No,
that sign
exactly.
on this. This is a
In
big
fact,
deal.
let's face it, like Bill Quirk said, all the Republicans are now saying, oh, maybe we have a problem.
At least in California.
Well, California is different.
And it's most, not quite all, but it's a lot.
But I'm just saying that's progress, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Thank you, Claudia. And listen, Bob, I'd like you to come up and say a few words on behalf of, and then I want Rocky to come up then, please. He needs no introduction, as everybody knows. This is Bob Swanson.
Bobby.
Of course, from State Party's office. Bob has been in that office for many, many years.
Hello, Democrats.
Yay!
It's good to be among Democrats.
Yeah!
Boy, there's something about this President of the United States I don't like very much.
Yeah.
You think?
Let me count the way.
He's somebody we need to get rid of. I mean, this guy is so bad.
Yay. Yay.
I mean, he's a channeler. He channels these people who are like Gestapo type people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's horrible. I mean, look what he's doing at the borders. Oh my God. But locally here, you know, I retired from Nate's office 2015, and I had some health issues, and after I got a little better, Nate says, "Hey Bob, would you come back part-time?" And I go, yeah, I could maybe do 5 hours a week max or something.
Does this count?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm doing it for free.
Yeah, there you go. One of the projects Nate has me working on here in Castro Valley is the old Castro Valley Library that's been sitting empty for a long time. And the veterans stepped forward and said, look, let's not just leave this building empty, or let's not tear it down and put in some housing. Let's use this building. And they've got 5,000 signatures from residents around here who want to save that building. And the veterans are willing to go in and fix it up and use it for veterans and community use. So when you need a meeting facility or places like that, this library hopefully will be available. We need to get a hold of the Board of Supervisors folks other than Nate and tell them that, you know, here in Castro Valley we need some meeting space, and this would be a great place. It's a good building, and we need to keep it. And I want to thank everybody here for coming to this event today. Love being among the Democrats, and, you know, power to the people.
Thank you, Bob. Rocky, I know you represent.
Hey, Bob.
Sure.
Is this over at all? Meeting
I'm going to spend the
located.
first part on well, first I want to point out that you should all be very mindful that this weekend some of those immigration raids started, and so it's nice that we can all be out here right now. There's a lot of people that can't even answer their door because they're so terrified to do that. That's happening in our country. It's a real tragedy, and we should all have that on our minds this weekend and moving forward. On that sober note, Senator Wojciechowski is doing a lot of good work here still on his work with accessory dwelling units. It's kind of his contribution to the housing aspect. Passed a really good budget in terms of the environment, education, safety, and several other priorities that he has. And he's got a whole bunch more bills that we're working on. And something I do want to say as his district director is we hear a lot of times from folks who want to call up and yell at us about bills. We welcome that. But what we don't hear enough of is people that want to support the good work that Democrats are doing in office. And it came out this week. There was a bill that we were going to ban fur sales in California, right? You might have heard about this. Yeah. And some good activists came in and talked to us. We started getting calls the night before at about 4 p.m. from all these people. All of them are from Los Angeles. A bunch of people came into the committee hearing that happened on Tuesday where this bill was being heard, and it came out in the Intercept that they were being paid $100 a day to be there to come and protest, and call, and show up and complain. Wow. This is what we're up against all the time, and we need to hear from good Democrats to support the work that we're doing so it doesn't just come out that, you know, we heard from 50 angry people but 0 supported Democrats. So please do that work. It's so important.
The party supports it.
The party does support that. That's right.
We voted to support that bill.
So one other thing I want to say in terms of my position as regional director with the California Democratic Party is the good work of replacing Mr. Trump has all been sped up significantly in the state of California. We have an early primary coming up next year, as you may know, which means that all the things that the party does are happening a little bit earlier. In a couple of weeks, the Democratic National Committee is going to be meeting in San Francisco in mid-August. So anybody who ever wants to, everybody likes to be angry at the DNC, it's okay. They're going to have a meeting with a bunch of public hearings where you can go and participate if you'd like. Right after that weekend of August 22nd, Robin and I and all the other executive board members are going to be meeting for the state party executive board down in San Jose. So for those of you who are at the convention or weren't able to make it to that, you can come down to San Jose and be a part of the executive board meeting where we're going to be making some early endorsements, be talking about some of the things for next year. Something that the Castro Valley Democrats should know and you'll know a little bit more about this in a couple of weeks, is we'll be having our early endorsement process start on October 5th, and the Castro Valley Democrats will get a couple of votes in that, it looks like, where we'll be endorsing for state assembly. I don't think Mr. Quirk has anything to worry about, but we do have a contested congressional race, so we'll be endorsing in that. And so stay tuned with that. And then the final thing I'll mention is we have another state convention. How many of you were at the last state convention? That's right. We have another state convention coming up in mid-November this year, because we have to ratify all these endorsements and do all the other stuff to be prepared for our March primary this year. So that's going to be down in Long Beach. Should be a lot of fun. All those presidential candidates showed up last time. I'm sure a few of them are going to want to come talk to us again, and maybe there'll be a few less at that point. We'll give them a couple more minutes. So the party's up to a lot, but thank you for all the work that you do, the work of getting rid of Mr. Trump and electing a Democratic House and Senate and legislature and city council and all those things. It's really going to be important next year, so thank you for your efforts, and I'll get up to stage.
Thank you a lot.
Build the farm team.
Can you make some on that?
Hi, I'm on the San Leandro School Board. I just want to tell you a couple of cool things that have been happening. Well, the first thing is it's a nonpartisan office, but however, every member of the school board in San Leandro is a Democrat.
That's
so
the way it should be.
There you go. However, in the last few years, we've gone from being kind of a wishy-washy school district that didn't have much of a reputation to getting a national award from the college boards, which do the advanced placement test, and we were the middle-sized school district of the year for the whole United States a year ago. And then this year, we also got an award for our having the most girls that took and passed the technology AP classes, and we just got one this week from the AP program that is for art and students that do not just art painting and stuff, but also art history. And a whole bunch of our kids got their artwork hung in the halls of Congress for this year.
Wow.
So that's really cool. So we just had some nice things happening. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that most of the school districts around us are losing enrollment, and we are up 400 students this year. And they're mostly kids coming back from private school. They lose 5 each year. That's great. So we have some good news on others here. Thank you so much. And thank you.
I know that there was a lot of you that probably purchased tickets and you were wondering what happened. We've done away with the money so you can forget about the raffle. And anyway, I want David to explain the way the things are going to work out with the tickets. So come on, David.
Okay, yeah. Hi, Dave Siegel from Castro Valley, former president of the club. Now I'm the corresponding secretary. So I'm the one who's supposed to, I don't know, publicize
You do
our
everything.
club. Okay.
You're great.
First off, thanks everyone for coming. We turned this is our only fundraiser, and we decided to expand it a little. So it's nice to see everybody here. There's a couple things I wanted to say to wrap up. I want to push. Besides everything else that Bob Swanson does, he's our club photographer, and he's Nate Miley's liaison or helper or consultant. But he also takes care of the Castro Valley Democratic Club website. So I invite you all to look at that, because there's stuff, he does some really good stuff. He posts videos on there, he posts events, he posts photos of us good looking people. Especially John.
Hey!
The CV back is always recorded.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on there. So if you bookmark that site, go check out Bob's work, and he's advocating for us as well. If I like to ask everyone who has any plastic, could they not throw it in the garbage can? I'm going to collect it in a paper bag over there, like the cups, even the silverware or the plasticware.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a paper bag near the garbage can. I don't want to throw out any plastic. It's killing us. Yeah. Literally. Let's see what else. Oh, thank you you guys. So this is a fundraiser, and there's still time to buy tickets to grab some of these nice gifts. All right. And if you don't want any gifts, you can just give us money.
That's right.
That's fine. As long as it's in U.S. funds. Now, but, okay, and I can tell you, on behalf of the club, that 100% of the proceeds go to advocating democratic ideals and principles, supporting our candidates, and repealing and replacing Republicans.
Right.
100% guaranteed. Okay.
Yes.
And anyway, everyone keep up the good work. Thank you.
What about the raffle?
So the raffle. Oh, thank you. So, as you know, we're having a raffle. Some of you may know. There's still time to buy tickets. I think we decided it's $2.15 now. I think.
Yeah.
$2.12.
$2.12.
Say $2.45. We're gonna pick the tickets. All right.
Okay.
If you put any tickets in there and you have to leave or anything, that we can contact you if you put your name on it. Other than that, there's no one needs to put their names on it. You just should have the number with you, right? If you put both parts into the bag, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So you want to make 2:30?
Yeah.
2:30. 18 minutes from now.
18 minutes.
Okay, you
from
got
now.
18
2:30.
minutes. Okay.
18 minutes.
Okay, 2:30 the raffle.
Okay. And thanks again for coming, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
This is
Really.
picked a
I
good
want to
day.
thank
Can I
everybody.
just add one
Yeah,
thing?
one more thing from Robin. before
I just forgot.
Go ahead, Robin.
The topic of our meeting on August 7th is about the census in Alameda County. So I encourage all the clubs to have an event, club meeting, and invite the census people from Alameda County. They're looking for people to take on the job of getting out there and becoming an employee of the census. And we need to be very, very efficient. Alameda County could lose over $1 billion if we do not do the right job. And so, not to mention what we lose is the state of California. So I encourage people and clubs to take on that role as well. Okay. All right.
Put
So
one of
okay.
them
Thanks.
in the
Yep.
bag